what were you guys talking about? Female sexual. Oh yes, I remember. Ha. Okay, cool. So this was back once upon a time when I posted political stuff, and I do no longer because I couldn't deal with people were just really annoying, and I was like, I don't care, whatever.
Look,
so
I'll fight everyone.
Yes.
See, I just unfriend people when they have stupid ideals.
No, see, Tracy walks away. She unfriends them. I'll fight people. I'll fight everyone.
Well, see, here's what I generally do. I will fight with them, and if they can back up their argument with something legitimate, then I am willing to actually discuss this with them and keep them. But if they're just being dumbasses, I just get rid of them.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for a discussion, but I'll also just fight people.
Okay, cool. So what I was saying is that one thing I was posting about, I don't even remember, this was a while ago, and I was talking about Miley Cyrus or something in some sexual pose or whatever it was, and I was all like, this is sending a negative image for girls. And this was back before I think Miley Cyrus has since turned around, but this was back before when she was being all I'm gonna be super sexy, but she was still supposed to be a role model for girls, and I was not okay with that because I was like, well, you're trying to be this role model, but you're sexy. And then she the situation's resolved and everything's fine, but she was doing this thing and I was posting about it, and I was like, okay, it's really people see this stuff, girls will see this stuff and they'll be like, oh, I need to act that way. And some guy was like, oh, just because someone sees one image, it's fine, it doesn't do anything. And I was like, yeah, but the repetition of it when sexualization is everywhere, and also how the patriarchy hurts men, and it really bothers me when people are like, oh yeah, man, patriarchy only hurts women. No, it hurts men too. It's the whole thing of men fitting into gender molds.
Back away from media for a little bit, something that happened in my house about how patriarchy hurts men. I have a little sister and a little brother. My sister's 17 and my brother's 11. And my brother has ADHD, and he's really smart, but he's struggling in school, and he doesn't like to read because it's hard for him to sit down and read. And we have to make sure that he actually reads for the amount of time he's supposed to. So he's supposed to read for 30 minutes and then come and tell us and summarize what he read. And he's having a hard time summarizing because he doesn't actually read, because reading is hard. And he was getting really frustrated. He just broke down crying one time. And my dad says to him, are you on your period? And I'm like, he's crying. What is wrong with you? And they were trying to make him laugh, which fine. But the whole thing was basically that my brother was really upset and he was crying, and my parents were saying that that's something a girl does. And I was like, he's frustrated and crying. Yeah.
I'm mad about this.
Okay. I actually have to argue with your dad on that because I don't care if you're trying to make him laugh. It's not okay to make trans jokes like that.
So as I've said, I'm trans. My family, I love my family, I love my parents, I know they love me. They're taking very small baby steps towards being okay with the trans thing. My dad uses humor a lot as his means of acceptance. It's kind of a thing in my family. When I came out as pansexual, the first time I realized that my extended family accepted it was when my uncle made a joke about it. So it's something that they do. But yeah, a lot of times I'm not okay. My dad does it with me, and that's fine, but a lot of times I'm not okay because he also still uses my old name and my old pronouns, so it's dial it back. But yeah, he did actually say to my brother, were you born a girl? And it's no, stop.
There's this really awesome quote, and I remember who said it, and I don't remember the rest of the quote, but I remember it was something tears aren't reserved for girls, and I liked the phrasing of that a lot. We really just, what we really need to do is just break gender. It doesn't exist. It's just a societal,
It's just not gender.
Societal.
Let's just all become a shiok. You know that t-shirt that's on Tumblr that's, I'm not a boy or a girl, I'm an existential nightmare?
Yes. Yes.
I need that.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. It's so funny. It's a lot of times I feel I'm actually really surprised on my channel or in general, people haven't asked me what it's like to be a female Magic player.
Do you remember that time that guy? Sorry.
Oh man.
Okay, so we go to Friday Night Magic a lot. Which is fun.
Yeah.
And there's a guy who's not there all the time, but he's been showing up more and more.
Yeah.
And Tracy's pretty good at Magic.
She's alright.
She's very good at magic. So we were drafting, and she beat this guy, and he was an older gentleman, and he legit says to her, "This is the first time I've lost to a woman."
I'm like, I don't know why that matters at all.
Tracy's face was like, I don't even.
I have a thing of maintaining calm when
Yeah.
I need to.
Her eyes.
so
I could like see the little.
I was
fire in
like,
the back of her mind.
I'm just gonna brush off the remark.
I looked over.
Yeah.
I was doing my own game, and I looked over like, excuse me.
It didn't matter at all if I beat him in Magic or whatever. Like, when I the first ever, I talked about this on my channel, but the first ever Magic tournament I went to, I top 8'd. So if you don't know what that means, that's really good. So you have like there was like 50 people, and then it was like narrowed down to like the top 8, like the best players basically. So like I played a total of 6 rounds. And I played 5 because I drew one, so I didn't actually play. We just like drew into. I don't know how to explain this to like non-magic people.
The bye.
Can I, like, explain
She got
this
the bye. That's an actual
Yeah,
phrase.
that's a phrase. Okay, cool. It's
I
actually
never
not
knew
what
that
happens.
phrase before magic.
That's
But anyway.
not what happens. But okay, like I didn't have to play Magic, and then this is whatever. It doesn't matter. I did well. Moral of the story. And so like it was really interesting because it was like. I was getting a lot of like attention from people, and it was like I don't know. There was like at no point it was like. Oh, look, it's Tracy, she's a girl who plays Magic. It was just like okay, yeah, it's this, her name's Tracy and she plays Magic. Like, I feel like that's one of the reasons why I really like my local game store is because like everyone there seems like very chill and like I'm really close friends with a lot of these people and it's like, I never feel like excluded. The one right near me that I play at,
I don't have a local game store back at. We're in college right now. If that wasn't clear.
Hey!
Thing. I don't have a local gaming store up where I am. Which. Like, there is a gaming store that I've gone to for pre-releases before, but it's too far for it to be worth it because I personally don't have a license, so I'd need someone else to drive me.
No license, really?
No.
I didn't know.
And I'm gonna tell my story.
Dude, whatever, you've interrupted me 15 times, get out of here.
I've interrupted all of you.
Whatever.
But anyway, I don't have a local gaming store, and I've been there a couple times and it's not great, and one of the times I went up for a pre-release, because I really like pre-releasing, it's probably one of my favorite Magic formats.
Yeah.
My parents were afraid to let me go alone because it wasn't in a terrible part of town, but it's not a pretty great part of town, and I was going in a binder, and I was in a clearly trans kind of setting, and they didn't want me to go alone in case something happened to me because it was a pre-release happens pretty late at night, so it would have been there for a while. So I had a friend who actually came up. Can I say what state we're in?
Yeah.
We're in New York. I had a friend who came up all the way from Maryland to come to the pre-release with me to make sure nobody beat me up.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
That's definitely like a huge thing about like women sticking together and just like kind of like like it was a dude, but a dude.
But yes,
you kind of make a point.
like
Look, you know the whole like
people stick together. There's I'll go to the bathroom with you. That movement, I'll go with you.
yeah, like that's definitely
We
a
have
huge thing.
Women who will go with trans women to bathrooms.
Yeah,
You don't do that.
protect you.
You don't do that with the men's room because men don't talk to each other in the men's room.
It's really not so much of an issue in like the men's room.
Because nobody in the men's room looks at each other.
No
It's
one in
like
the men's room cares.
you go into the men's room and you have one purpose, and if you look at somebody, you're a blasphemer.
And frankly, honestly, that's actually one of the things I really liked about our college, not saying where, but like no one cares here even in the girls' bathroom either.
Yeah, we are lucky enough to be on a
We're
campus
in
that's actually
college.
yeah.
So
We're on a campus that's actually very good about this thing.
and
I'm
very
actually,
liberal.
Like, it's to the point where like more than 50% of the population here is like queer in some form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pre-transition and probably going to move in with another guy, so like, and it's something the campus would allow,
Yeah, that's
which
sweet.
is in and of itself amazing.
Yeah, that's
He still hasn't texted me.
Apparently, he knows who you are.
He does?
Apparently,
That
because
may
like
be
I
bad.
gave him the number, and he was like, "Oh, Dimitri, okay."
That may be bad for me.
He didn't seem to be like annoyed
Okay.
about it.
Well, can you tell him to text me so we can arrange? This is.
Okay.
We can cut this out of the video. Tracy's like so unprofessional because she has a channel with a whole bunch of actually
We have to do a
well
sliver
done
video.
videos.
Yo.
I brought my
I'm so
sliver.
unprofessional. Have you seen my videos? Actually, no, I am pretty sorry.
I like the podcast format. I've always wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah, this is kind of sort of what we're doing, I guess.
Podcast format. Representation, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. We need more things that represent people. Okay, and like another thing is too, is like I thought it was interesting because like I'm filming this with you guys and because I'm filming this with you guys and you guys are both trans and I'm not. But it's like, you know what? Like, here's the deal. It's like I saw this one time. You're fine. I saw this thing one time that was like racism is hard to see when you're white, and I was like, I can understand that, like to an extent, to be like, you know, because again, the patriarchy works both ways. So it's like I would have a difficult time seeing the issues that like men would struggle with, for example, and like vice versa. So it's like I understand that. However, like I am a white lady. I can understand these issues, and I can understand why representation is important. So anyone can understand that these things are important. It's not just like being this thing where you're a part of it to like. It might like make sense. Like okay, cool.
Not a little box, guys.
Oh.
The box is transparent. You can see into it. Back to representation. Not inclusivity. Intersectionality is the word I was looking for. In that, black, gay, trans, disabled, Jewish people exist, and it's okay to make a character that's all of those.
What we're really the thesis of this, the main point that we're getting at is every single main character, please stop making it a straight white male. Just stop.
And people exist.
And stop thinking that it has to be a straight white
Yes,
male.
this is also not the default. Also, if somebody says, hey, I think this popular main character is trans, maybe don't yell at them. Maybe say, hey, that's cool.
Because frankly, you don't know. It could be the case.
Like Luke. There was this whole thing about Luke Skywalker, because a bunch of people are like, Luke is trans and gay, and people are like, he can't be, because, you know, Star Wars is a very big deal, so that means it can't have any LGBT characters in it. And Mark Hamill, who plays Luke, was like, totally could be. Never said he wasn't.
We've got that Finn and Poe thing going.
Yes. You know how big a deal it is? We wrote this in the notes too. How big a deal it is, and in the new Star Wars, our three heroes are a black man, a woman, and a Hispanic man. Hispanic, Latino?
I don't know.
Again,
there's a decent
I'm
chance
white.
that like.
If I'm saying the wrong thing, tell me, please.
And there's a decent chance that the black guy and the Latino guy are bi.
Yes, I'm gonna get together.
So.
Maybe. Which, either main romance that we have, I'm assuming it's not going to be Kylo Ren because I'm not dumb and I know that Star Wars has incest. So, either of the main romances are going to be interracial. Any of the romantic combinations are interracial. We either have Rey with Poe, Poe and Finn, or Rey and Finn.
And that's actually one of the other nice things about Jessica Jones is, aside from the one lesbian relationship, like, all of them are interracial.
Yeah, Jessica Jones has some great...
Another movie that I really like, that you guys should check out, and you need to see. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen Tootsie before?
I have not.
Alright, this movie's really awesome. It's with Dustin Hoffman, and basically in the movie, I think it's Dustin Hoffman, his character is like, he's an annoying actor and no one wants to hire him because they're like, you're annoying, I don't want to hire you. So he dresses up as a girl and then he sees the issues that women struggle with. It's really, really sweet. It's a really good movie. And like, I don't know, it's just something that, you know, it kind of goes back to a point that he said like 30 minutes ago, but you know, it's a good movie. You should check it out. Listen, this is my couch area thing.
Nah,
I do what I want.
I don't care what you do.
Oh,
And
person
there's
being a
the-
wallflower.
Stop shaming
You
me
guys,
against myself.
yes. Okay, I just got done reading this book. It's
read it.
honestly
Have you
like
seen the movie?
no, but I'm
It's
going to
really
soon.
well done.
I've heard it's amazing. Okay, you honestly need to read it. Like it's amazing.
It
okay,
is
so I could
wonderful.
honestly go on and on about this book, but like I'm an education major and I need to read a certain amount of YA books, young adult literature books, and so like I read this book and because I've heard amazing things about it. It actually takes
That's fine.
every single
It's fine.
teen issue and stuffs it in a book. Guys, shut up, pay attention to me. It takes every single teen issue and stuffs it in a book, and it deals with issues of homosexuality, issues of gender,
Issues of depression and
pregnancy,
suicide.
depression, suicide, rape. Like it deals with just name a teen issue and it's in the
Please,
book. Drinking,
More
weed.
characters that deal with their mental illness and are healthy and don't
Yes.
kill themselves in the end.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Mental illness in begin with like just needs to be like just thoroughly like
Look,
done.
I may actually do a whole other video about talking about
Yes.
Dragon Age and Anders and the way they handled Anders and mental illness and the way they turned him into a villain via his mental illness. So,
Yes. And how people
There's-
are like, oh, you're mentally ill, you're crazy. Like, no, stop.
for clarification, I am mentally ill.
Actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have an anxiety and depression disorder,
Huh.
which is by no means the wide scope of people who are mentally ill and need representation. In fact, that happens to be one of the mental illnesses that is pretty much in the forefront of thought. Not to say it's understood very well by people who don't have it. or
Mental illness
that my
is
parents handle it well, but it's one of the ones that people are
so
more accepting of than other cases. I have a friend with severe psychosis and
mental illness is so
I'm really worried about
misunderstood. Mental illness is so misunderstood, and it is so frustrating. Where it's like when I used to go on Tumblr, it used to be like all these things, and like Tumblr has weird stuff. Like some of the stuff is good and some of the stuff is bad, but like there's a lot of like mental illness like
awareness.
awareness, yeah, and like being like, oh, like I don't mentally feel well today or something
Spoon
like
theory.
that. Like
You know
I
spoon
don't
theory?
know, what is that?
I don't know who thought this up. When I post the video, I'll put a link to this, but there's someone who posted Spoon Theory, which I think was originally about autism or a chronic illness, but it's been brought in to cover mental and physical illnesses, chronic and otherwise, where you have a set amount of spoons for your life. Let's say it's 6 spoons. Certain activities take spoons, and certain activities recharge spoons, but you only have that many amount of spoons.
Huh.
So if
It's
you're
really interesting.
out of spoons, it's like I'm trying to explain this in a way that's broad enough in both of mental and physical. For me, when I say I'm out of spoons, it means I'm completely mentally spent and probably not getting out of bed that day. In a way where, like, if you talk to me, I'll probably jump off my butt.
And like one of the things about that is, and before I say this, I will say that this is not always the case. But in a lot of cases, the way it works is that extrovert people like would refill their spoons by talking to people, and introvert people refill by spending time alone.
Right, and there's
Yeah.
like different activities refill or spend. In cases of chronic illnesses, sometimes you just need to sleep to refill your spoons. But that's spoon theory, which became populated on Tumblr, which is great because now I can just be to all my friends like, I don't have spoons, I can't talk to you today, and they'll be like, okay, feel better, and then I'll sleep for 18 hours, which is not good. Don't sleep for 18 hours.
Also, don't hate on Tumblr, everyone. There are those annoying people, but the fact of the matter is it's really not as bad as people
Look,
make it out to be.
It's just like every other website in the world. There's good and bad, and because there are people there, and you don't have, even in community, nothing has one singular mind. Even within the LGBT community, you don't have one singular, thank you. You don't have one singular mind. You have a bunch of people who identify this, who are mixed together, who have different views on things.
And that being said, there are crazy people in the LGBT plus community. There are people who
Wait,
are like,
let's not use the word crazy. I don't like that word. That word's bad.
okay, well there are annoying dickish people.
There are
who-
radical people.
Well, people who want to get rid of like transgender from the acronym and such.
Yeah,
People who
Radical.
feel that they aren't important.
radical.
That actually is another separate issue that we could totally talk about. Is did you guys see there was a thing on Facebook that they want to change the name to Saga, SAGA, which is like something all people. You guys have no idea what I'm talking
No,
about.
I know about Mogai, which is another thing.
Hold on.
People are always trying to come up with
I'm
new
gonna go
acronyms.
get it. I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
find
read
Do
it.
you want to stop the video first?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Hey guys.
I'm just repositioned. I don't know if I'm in or out of camera now. Can you check to make sure I can?
I mean,
Can I check what?
Can you check that it's still all good?
Yeah, we got
Alright,
15
I just
minutes.
moved, so.
We have 15 minutes left in this thing. I'm gonna check the thing because this was really interesting and it's also a very informal video. It was a really good acronym, I
Excuse me,
remember.
I'm a pro. This is gonna be the first official
What on
video.
earth is her name?
I may remove the other videos from my channel, but the old video I have is from my trip home, which is when I spent, I don't remember how many, 5 weeks in Israel with my youth
oh
group.
Sarah.
So.
Here it is. Saga, which is sexually and gender acceptance as a new term. I like it.
It definitely makes things easier, and it makes it so people really can't be offended if like you're
Yeah.
not including a letter.
Yeah.
But it's not a it's not a label, it's a description of a thing. It also includes people who are not,
You mean allies?
yeah, or not
This
allies.
book is good.
But if it's talking
I'm
about
reading-
Dr.
acceptance,
Moreau, it's a good
if
book.
it's
I'm
talking
reading this for
about
science fiction. I'm really enjoying it. I have to read up to 13.
Oh, what magic card is your bookmark?
no.
It's just a mountain.
Oh, yo, I love that art. We talked about that. Yeah, okay.
But like, if it's talking about acceptance, then it wouldn't be including people who like aren't part of the community / allies.
But like the problem with Mogai when that went around was people were like, that includes pedophiles.
Wait, what
Because
is
people
what
were
is
saying
this
that
one
pedophiles
say?
is a sexuality.
Wait, hold on.
Today on Tumblr, I literally saw, why are you demonizing pedophiles? It's just another sexuality.
No, stop.
There's a lot of special.
There's
people.
a limit between kink shaming and just that.
So
Okay.
that is my concern about that. But Saga, fine. Also, not a bad comic.
Wait, what is the
There's a
Mokai
con-
thing or whatever? Like,
Mogai.
what does it
MOGAI.
stand for?
Marginalized, oppressed groups and identities.
Okay.
Yeah, but that throws in a lot of other issues.
Right.
Because like that could throw in pedophiles, that could throw in incest.
Right. That's
that
what
Yeah.
the Mogai
Yeah.
was. That was the problem
That
with
was
that.
the issues, yeah.
Um,
I think I feel like just the plus part about it is the most like important thing. Like I keep correcting you and you know
Right.
understand.
Which I usually say.
yeah.
When
no,
I type it, I
no.
usually use LGBT plus. It's just that I'm speaking
Okay.
quickly.
The thing that really frustrates me is there was this oh man, this was a story I was totally gonna tell. Okay,
Do you
so
know what year this book was? published?
gosh, like 1980.
After the 50s?
I want to say
90s, looks like.
Really?
Really that late?
Okay, I'm gonna tell a story.
Anyway.
So okay,
There's a
so
lot of
I've been a
recent
tutor
books
for a
in the
couple of I've been a tutor for a couple semesters. And I've been tutoring people for a long time, and one of my friends is a tutor, and she did there was like a conference, it was like a tutoring conference, and it's basically where tutors get together and they talk about tutoring. And so she did a whole presentation actually talking about LGBTQ plus in the tutoring environment and how to handle it. And I was like, Kate, that's such an awesome topic. Like, I love that. It's actually like a pretty new and like unique thing, not something that typically like people would pick out to talk about. So I thought that was really cool and, just raising awareness. And there was this old lady who stands up and she was like, I don't understand why this is important. And I was like, I am so glad I wasn't there because I probably would have been like, I don't even know what I would have done. I would have been really.
See, I'm the person who like gets kicked out of those things because I actually stand up and will fight them. Like not physically, but like I will yell at them.
I'll physically fight them.
I'll
Not
just
kidding.
be like, nah, don't do that.
I will not punch people. But I also talk a lot. One of
Let's
my
not
main
advocate
problems.
for physical
No,
violence.
one of my main problems in philosophy class, and I talk about
Oh
it
gosh,
a lot.
yes.
Oh my god.
This is the greatest thing ever.
I talk a lot to the point where
If you can tell.
I talk a lot, not in a way where like I like to hear my voice, but in a way that I have a lot of. I'm trying to think of a way. Intellectually, I talk like in
Yes.
a class. I add to the discussion.
There are a lot of opinions.
But I always try to do it in a way that it improves the conversation, not is just an asshole. However, I don't think my philosophy class agrees
Your
because
philosophy class is dumb.
I tend to refute almost every point they bring up, which they do not appreciate. But if they just stopped being wrong,
Like, that is my favorite thing ever. Is like I would stop doing this, but if you could just be wrong less, dude. Okay, like this is unrelated to anything, but there's like I was at a meeting and my friend was typing, and this girl turns over to him and like, "Can you just type less, or can you just click less?" He's like playing Hearthstone or whatever. And I was so funny. He's like, I just want to say that about so many things someone does. Like, can you just X less? Like,
Yes.
can you breathe less? Can you whatever?
but yeah, let's have this philosophy class. They hate me.
Yeah,
they
they're-
actually
they're
grow
dumb.
and they put everything.
You know what?
But I actually have anxiety. I'm always like, I go to philosophy class like this today. I'm gonna sit. I'm gonna listen. Today's the day. I'm not gonna talk.
And then
I'm
they're
just gonna
wrong.
listen. And then then the class starts.
And then they're wrong, and then you're like, well.
I got
That's
10 minutes in
unchanged.
last time, and look, last time it wasn't my fault. I tried to just listen, but then he put sentences on the board and was like, okay, refute each of these, and it was like, my time has come.
That's definitely it.
Yeah, I proved in class that we don't need humans don't need a heart and brain to survive in class, to my professor's satisfaction.
Okay, coming from a science point of view, that makes me want to hate you.
Nah, it was a logic statement. Humans need a heart and brain to survive, is the logic statement.
Humans technically need the
First
vast
of all,
majority of their bodies to survive.
If you remove the heart and replace it with instruments that will pump blood for them, you can survive.
Okay, I can
and
see that.
If you're brain dead and the heart works, you can have machines do the beating and breathing for you, and you'll survive.
But that's not. Then you get to the point of what is living.
Okay,
They
okay,
didn't say
so
living, they said surviving.
guys, representation.
Which was what
doesn't relate to representation. I don't even know. Is there anything left that we can say? Like, there's more that we can say.
This is like kind of off topic. Well, it's sort of on topic, but something I saw on Facebook today that
Is
really
anything
bothered
on
me.
topic in this video?
Um,
We did well for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
There's this girl who's in one of the clubs on campus, and she's on the e-board with me, and she was posting this thing that was like, why do feminists hate men? And well, no. It was supposed to be making fun of that phrase,
Oh, okay.
but it was why do feminists hate men? And
You just
it's
watched
like when
Tracy's
there's a
soul
movement
back into your
about
body.
when it's like. It's annoying a movement about women suddenly becomes about men. And that I actually commented and was like, well, yes, this post is nice. It really does bother me because it's not a movement for women. It's just a movement for everyone and equality.
Oh, okay. That's a point that makes me think this other point. Okay, that's the same. Like, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement that happened, which is really, really, really important.
Oh, I had a question really good with my sister. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so with that whole thing that was coming out, that's like the same thing. It's like, Black Lives Matter. Well, all lives matter. And it's like, I mean, yeah, and you're not wrong, but
Yeah.
it's like, we're looking at a group of people who, I mean, this is like its own separate issue, but we're looking at a group of people who are like specifically targeted for their skin color, so it's like
Yes.
it's a different thing.
It's-
What were you gonna say with your
I
sister?
had a conversation with my sister. My sister's 17, and not dumb, but dumb. She's 17 and she doesn't know a lot, and she doesn't look at things as critically as I do a lot of times, which is not to say that I'm perfect either. And she was telling me about how she said all lives matter once, and I'm like, okay, here's why you're wrong about that. Obviously all lives matter, but all lives are not being shot by cops.
Yeah.
The problem is, yes, all lives matter, but we're
Right.
not treating it like that.
Right, and she was like, oh, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It's not an exclusivity thing, it's they're being targeted.
Yeah, it's always like the thing of like, oh, I'm talking about like, I'll be talking about like feminist issues, and then it's, well, what about men? And it's like, yeah, but can't we have like 5 minutes where we're just talking about like one like oppressed group and not talking
Yeah.
about like,
I'm like,
oh, what
that's
was the
the
thing you
thing,
said?
like-
Like, oh, well, I hate it when things are not about me. Like,
And that's the thing, like, I entirely agree because it is largely for helping women because they are far more oppressed. But it's when the post was kind of implying that it was strictly for women, when in
Okay, I
reality it
understand.
helps and benefits everyone.
yeah, and like that's the thing is like
So-
feminist, like the patriarchy hurts everyone, and feminist helps like everyone. Like people think it only helps women, but I'm like, no, it's like a lot of feminists are too. I mean, that term
that this whole thing drives me crazy because it's like people who don't understand what the term feminism means, and it is the most frustrating thing ever because people are like it actually like let's look that up in the dictionary, shall we? Like I got my laptop
It's
here,
just
so I'm gonna.
last I checked, it just said that it's a gender equality movement.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
While
look
you're
it up
looking
in the
that up- While
dictionary.
you're looking that up, I want to quickly mention, because I meant to before as a segue, now I can't remember, Vitality is a magazine. I really, really love them. I supported their Kickstarter. I have their shirt on now, but I'm not going to take it off because I'm not wearing my binder. But their mission, they're a magazine, a literature magazine, and their mission is to give literature by LGBT plus people where it's genre fiction with LGBT plus characters. They're not coming out stories, they're not gay drama stories, they're not transitioning stories, they're dragon fighting, astronaut, pirate slaying stories, none of that made sense, about gay, trans, lesbian, non-binary, every color also.
I
And
bring
the art's
to
great,
you.
and you should get them stuff because we need more stuff like that where it's genre fiction and not about the identity. Go ahead.
I bring to you a dictionary definition of feminism.
Which dictionary we should know?
We are on Merriam-Webster, in case you wanted to know. The theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. That's it. That's it. Right there. Right there. People are like, it means you hate men. It means, I mean, it's like those people who like are claim that they're feminists and are like, oh, like I hate men, and I'm just like, stop, like you're giving a bad reputation.
Yeah.
Just like any sort of like radical like
Right.
type of group that gives this sort of thing like a bad name. It's
All
just
right.
like anything else.
Let's talk about that for a second. So, feminists who are radical feminists or ridiculous feminists, who are like, I hate men, even that group, which exists, absolutely, and is not helpful,
It's a
absolutely.
minority.
Is
Is that what you're gonna say?
I don't even know about that,
Oh, okay.
but that's not my main point.
Okay.
Even if they're not, it's fine to me because we have this group of teenage girls who are growing up a lot more confident than I remember being when I grew up. Girls who were saying that the sexuality is wrong, who are learning that rhetoric from a much younger age than I came to it. Then my sister is coming to it, then my brother's 11, so yeah.
And see,
And even if it's they're learning that rhetoric from the radical feminists, even if they're learning that from the people who say they hate men, they're also learning to love themselves a lot sooner than a lot of women do, which I think is great, even if the side effect is we have people shouting they hate men on the internet.
I agree, and that's definitely very helpful. The only problem I have with it is when they start being rude about it. Because I remember at one point, this was before I had come out, I was just like holding the door for someone at Cortland. And keep in mind, just holding the door for anyone, not just women, anyone. It's just a
Everyone.
polite thing to
If
do.
you're a person, hold
Like,
the door.
I was holding the door for a girl,
arms.
and she literally goes to the door next to me, opens it, glares at me, and it says, "Look, I don't need you to hold the door for me. I'm a strong woman." And I'm like, "Are you freaking
Alright.
kidding me right now?"
Yeah, people like that are ridiculous. Anyway.
Going back to your point, I don't think I really. I understand what you're saying. I don't agree with the whole thing of like getting your beliefs about hating. Like we shouldn't hate anyone. Like we just shouldn't
No.
do that at all.
No,
that's
that's
just not
not-
a thing. You know, like of course, like I know what you're saying. I'm just saying I don't. I mean, like again, I think that it's a small group. It's or whatever group it is that it's giving it a bad name. Where it's like there are people who do believe in like straight up.
Right. The problem is, even if it's a
Equality.
small group, it's a loud group. That's a
It
problem.
definitely is. Yeah.
My point, though, was even though this group is bad, it's still producing the side effect of women are more confident.
Yeah, that is important. Having confident women and
But
having.
let's not hate men.
Yeah, let's not hate anyone because that's not.
I have a-
us.
Except Trump.
My whole struggle with the feminist movement is that I'm a man who had the struggles of a woman, especially since I'm still pre-transition.
Yeah.
I feel.
And I get different responses based on the group. Half the group is like, you're female, so you should be involved because you're like that. And I'm like, I prefer you didn't call me that. And then the other half is like, you're a man, so you shouldn't talk over a woman.
It's weird.
I'm in a weird middle place where I'm in a weird middle place. And it's a struggle for me also. But
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think for you, like, I think that a lot of times what I'll have is I'll have, like, men say things that I go through as a female, and I'm like, how can you at all say at all the things that I feel through? Like, I'll be like, oh, I had this very sexist comment, you know, made towards me, or an action, and they're like, oh, it's not sexist. I'm like, but, like, how can you say that as a guy?
Right.
But you're in a different position because you are trans, so I feel like,
Right.
like,
I've had
I,
this-
of course, value, you know, not that I don't value men's opinion, but it's like, I have a problem when someone's like, you don't feel this way, like that's just not validating someone's feelings. It doesn't have anything to do with
It's
just
that-
this issue, it's anyone, like,
It's also
anyone
that,
can do that.
guys don't have an equivalent to what's happening to girls in that kind of situation. As a guy who was raised in life as a girl, I have that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say on my part, it's really interesting because, like, as I've been transitioning more and more, like, feminism, in my eyes, has become more and more important simply because, like, yes, like, for a while if you are a guy, I'm sorry, I love you all, but the fact of the matter is if you are a cis man, you do not realize your male privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I transition, like, I've been noticing it more and more, and, like, I understand more and more why feminism is important.
It's the same thing with white privilege.
Yeah.
Like, I will talk, we talked about, like, black issues. I don't understand them fully. Like,
Right.
we're talking about them, but there is so much more to the picture than we can ever understand. This makes me think of a story is, I know this girl who's doing her student teaching right now, and she's using a book from the Little Rock Nine, and she's a white lady trying to teach racism
Yeah, you told me
to,
this.
yeah, I told you about this, trying to teach racism to these people who've and she's teaching in a school that's full of mostly like black and colored students, and she's trying to teach racism to these kids who know what it is. How can you try to talk about it? And you know, I was thinking about like how I would handle it as a teacher, and I'm more discussion and student involvement based anyway, regardless. So of course, like if I have students in my class, like of course I want to hear their opinions, especially about this, because why would I speak and be like, this is what racism means? I don't know what racism means. Like we'll talk about it, but I don't know. Like
My sister and I had this conversation a lot because we're Jewish, and Jews are also in a group that's discriminated against. And we talk about anti-Semitism is
Yes.
still extremely prevalent
100%.
now.
yes.
And we talk about that in terms of race. And Allison is in the phase where she's considering Judaism a race, which it's an ethno-religion. So it's an ethnicity as well as a religion. That being said, I personally am uncomfortable with saying that it's racism when you're anti-Jewish, because I'm trying to word this in a way that makes sense. There's a problem with saying that it's a race and comparing it to someone being racist to a black person, for example. There's a problem with that because it's not equal. It's bad either way, obviously. But Judaism is an interesting phenomenon because it's ethno-religious as well as just being a religion.
I'm not Jewish, and so obviously I can't comment strictly on that, but I do come from a pagan family, and so I am somewhat used with the idea, and I wouldn't quite call it a race as much as I'd call it a culture.
It's for Judaism, it's in a lot of cases there are culture, but for Judaism specifically, there are things that like make it this as well.
Okay, well, simply because I know I have a lot of friends who they don't follow the beliefs and they don't practice, but they still consider themselves Jewish because of like their culture with it.
Right. There's other stuff as well where like there are certain genes that are specific to Jewish groups.
Okay.
There's like other stuff that qualified as an ethno-religion, like that's an actual
Yeah.
phrase and stuff, but it's in a unique position, and it's, look, I could have a whole other video on anti-Semitism. I talk about anti-Semitism all the time. I'm a very strong Jewish advocate. I was trained for it. I was just in Israel for a year. I could talk about anti-Semitism. Let me tell you. But
That's another thing that I found really interesting.
also more Jews, and like when Marvel made Magneto and his kids not Jewish anymore. So with that, X-Men, technically a Holocaust film. Alright, I'm done being an angry Jew.
That's another thing that I will say I found interesting because in addition from losing male privilege from going to male to female, I will say like it's also interesting the other way around because I've come from a pagan family and I was raised that way. But then I moved to being Christian, and it's very interesting seeing the different ways people treat you, and like the different looks you get, and yeah, it's not racism, but like you get the idea.
Yeah. The thing with I can only talk about Judaism because it's all I know. The thing with Judaism and the reason that Allison is my sister's name, and the reason Allison says it's a race is discrimination for Jews is usually almost race-based. When we talk about modern anti-Semitism, we talk about a way where you're Jewish in your blood and it makes you dirty. We talk about the Holocaust, it's in your blood and makes you dirty from generations, which is a racist ideal. That's turning it into a race.
Yeah.
I've since realized that supporting that idea is harmful in many ways, so I don't call it that anymore. But my sister can think for herself and considers it that in a relation to modern anti-Semitism. Since other people are viewing her that way, so she embraces it as defense, I guess. She's also 17 and dumb. But no, those views are valid, and that's how some Jews feel. But you have black Jews who are going to have different problems than white Jews, and Arab Jews. And
I have like 3 minutes left on my camera to film because we've been using our memory, which is fine. So let's just wrap it up.
okay,
This is great though.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
representation matters.
Yeah, do the
Don't
thing.
discriminate like an asshole.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, you guys are beautiful jellyfish.
Love you.
Check out my channel. Shameless self-promote. If you got to the end, whoa. You should tell us. if you
MTG
to
got
the end.
us.
Well, I mean,
She's awesome. She has a bad black-white token deck, but